Hey guys, today we're going to cover how much my battery has degraded after only charging at Tesla supercharger stations exclusively on my 2021 Standard Range Plus for an entire year. A little background information about my Model 3. I purchased my 2021 Standard Range Plus Model 3 back in December of 2020 for around $37,900 before rebates, delivery fee, taxes, incentive, etc. Uncle Elon decided to give everyone free supercharging for an entire year to those who took delivery of a new Tesla on any of the last 3 days of 2020, which was why my Model 3 was only supercharged for an entire year, which was something you're not supposed to do and definitely not healthy for your battery pack. On top of that, I completely abused my battery pack, did pretty much everything I wasn't supposed to do for healthy battery longevity. This was mainly because I knew I wouldn't keep my Model 3 for long and it's going to be sold almost immediately after the 1-year mark of constant supercharging and ownership. Also, I think it would be pretty interesting to show everyone what a worst case scenario battery degradation would look like and have the information available to share with all my viewers. First of all, I wanted to talk about how easy or difficult this is going to be for someone that does not have access to level 2 charging every night and are forced to rely only on DC charging or supercharging. Since I live in Southern California, superchargers and DC fast chargers are quite plentiful, so it's extremely convenient for me to plan out a charging routine. Since I knew I wasn't keeping this car after a year, I always ran my battery down to 1% or close to 1% to keep my visit to the supercharger stations to the minimum and charge up to about 95%. I drive about 40 miles a day and would supercharge every 3 to 4 days. Each charging session was roughly 50 minutes long where I would take a nap. From 10 to 60%, it was always pretty quick, usually in about 18 minutes only. It's really from 60 to 100% that charging becomes really slow. This is especially true for the Standard Range Plus because the battery pack is only about 54 kilowatts, which is the smallest battery pack Tesla currently offers on any of its vehicles. Basically, for all EV charging, the smaller your battery pack capacity, the slower the charging is, especially once you cross the 70% mark. Over the course of 15,000 miles, I've averaged roughly 223 watts miles, or about 4.5 miles per kilowatt, give or take. When I look at the battery estimated at 100% charging level, it's currently showing 237 miles of estimated range. That works out to a battery degradation of about 9.9% after only 1 year and 15,000 miles of continuous supercharging. Since the weather is a bit colder right now, I think the car is estimating slightly less range than when the weather is warmer. I think 240 miles is the last number I saw when the weather was in the 60s and 70s. Even then, that works out to a loss of 8.75%. This result is a little surprising to me because the battery has lost nearly 10% capacity after only 1 year of use. However, I suspect the large degradation is mainly because I've always charged the car to over 90% and ran the battery close to 1%. I think if I only supercharged it to 80% and never let the battery pack drop below 20%, the battery degradation would be much less. So DC fast charging doesn't degrade your battery that much, but instead overcharging your battery pack and letting the battery charge run to single-digit percent is the fastest way to degrade and ruin a lithium-ion battery pack. This is why I definitely would be careful when it comes to buying used Teslas or EVs. Always check the estimated range of the battery pack before purchasing to see if the battery has been taken care of. Also, another tip I would give you guys is to do the math before you decide to switch to an EV. Calculate how much electricity would cost you annually on your EV before you make the switch, because some states are not EV friendly, meaning that there aren't any incentives at all, and gas prices are extremely low comparatively with electricity. That may all change in the near future as car manufacturers are shifting towards EVs and eventually all states will have to support EV ownership. However, the convenience of never having to go to a gas station only comes with EV ownership. Only a Model 3 for me makes sense since right now gas prices are at an all-time high at a whopping $5 to $6 a gallon in some major cities in California. Alright, that's it for now. Don't worry, I still have a Model Y to make Tesla videos out of. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for my future EV videos. I have a few EVs that I will be taking delivery on that are coming soon. See you guys soon!